All right. We are live, and I am going to take a quick moment just to check that I am live properly on Facebook because yesterday we had some technical issues with the live on Facebook. And so I am checking in with my team just to make sure so they can give me a heads up that I am live before I start going forward. All right, so just giving them a quick moment to jump on the platforms. All right, and just give me some feedback if it is you hearing me, if it is you seeing me well, before I jump into the content. All right, I don't want to do the live again like what happened yesterday, and then there was um, no one could have seen it on Facebook. So I just want to check in, just waiting for their feedback. All right. Tum, 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 tum. And I have some things in store today because we're going to talk about how to motivate the different uh, generations. All right. Thank you so much. Lovely, 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 lovely. So I'm getting the confirmation that we are live on both platforms. Great. Fantastic. So guys, welcome to the live day 2. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Seeing all the messages coming in, coming in. Lovely. Welcome to day 2 in this series that I've dubbed Mastering Multi-Generational Motivation. It is such a critical topic in today's world. All right. So, welcome to those who are joining us for the first time, and welcome back for those who were here yesterday. Thank you so much for being with me for the second day. I know you could be doing anything with your time. All right. We are all very busy persons. So, I'm really appreciative of you taking this time out to share this time with me. It will be worth your while, I promise you. All right. So what you can do is you can just put in the chat. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I always like to do that. Just let me know where you are chiming in from, either country or community. If it is you're in Trinidad and Tobago, just happy to see where people are from. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome. 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 Right. We are going to. Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Someone I used to work with used to say, "Come in, man. The water nice. The water is nice. So come in." We're gonna have a time today, and we are going to just be on for just about 30 to 45 minutes, nothing more than 45 minutes. All right, but I really, really want you to get these gems and to get these strategies. Lovely. I see Trudy from New York. Good having you, Trudy. Shagona's in the house. TNT in the house. Thank you so, so much for putting that in. And we have persons from all over the globe that digest our content. And so we are really grateful for that. Okay. So if it is by chance you are looking at the replay, please put hashtag replay in the chat. All right, so I would know that when you're looking it over, you are looking at the replay. Great. So I'm going to jump right in. So yesterday we were discussing the different generations, and yesterday I spent some time on understanding the 5 living generations in your workforce. And if you have not yet seen yesterday, I want to encourage you to go back and take a look at yesterday's video because we have 7 living generations right now in the world, 5 of them in the workplace. And because these generations are so different, it's really throwing leaders for a loop. And as I said yesterday, I want to repeat that the issues that we are seeing with these multiple generations and being able to connect with them, motivate them, lead them, really influence them, it's not just happening in the workplace. All right. And my clients know I would always say to them that the strategies that you would learn while they are very effective in the workplace, it's not only effective in the workplace, really any environment they will work. So we have had clients who came to us who came to treat with issues in the workplace, really leveling up as a powerhouse of leader, powerhouse leader in the workplace, but the strategies they used it for their teenage children and it worked, all right? Because the strategies are based in psychology, it's based on human behavior, it's rooted in science. Everything that I teach is rooted in science, and so it will work, all right? You want to work with human nature. So you wouldn't only see these issues in the workplace, you would also see them at home with your children, grandchildren, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings. You will see them. You're going to see it in the schools, whether it be at the primary or elementary level, straight up to the adult learning institutions, university and college. You find teachers, lecturers, facilitators grappling with the needs of their students and how to really connect and get through to them. We see it in religious organizations, churches, mandates. I mean, the mosques, you're going to see all the quasi-religious organizations, they're experiencing it as well. Political organizations, you hear it on the political platforms where there is a big thrust to try to connect with the youth, get the youth involved, because there is a lot of voter apathy among the young people. Why is that? What we're dealing with troubleshoots all of those things. All of those things. All right. So if it is you really, really want to become an effective leader, you must master managing, leading, influencing, connecting with persons that are outside of your generation. All right. Me in particular, I started one of my earlier positions as chief financial officer in an organization. I was only 25 at the time. Needless to say that there were persons in my department who older than I was. All right. And that created some issues. Now, I didn't really have all of these strategies that I teach now. I didn't have it at that time, but I had to find my way around. And so what I'm teaching is not only rooted in science, but very much in my experience, very much in my experience. And now at this level, having run organizations, now running my own organization, I have had to lead persons who are younger than me. I have a teenage son, he's 18. So I get it. I get it from all different aspects. And I've worked for nonprofits, all sorts of different spaces. So I'm telling you, it works. All right. And for you to be effective, you really want to be, as I call it, the leader of the future. The leader of the future, the leader who can take organizations into that next space of success. You cannot do it without the generations that are coming up. All right, good. So what we are seeing is, I talked about the challenge. One of the biggest challenges that we are seeing when leaders, CEOs, C-suite, departmental leaders do not know how to, or there is a struggle and a fight, disharmony. When there are persons of different generations in the department, in the organization, it results in one, on the personal side, a lot of stress, burnout, lack of trust. People just do not enjoy going to work. And what we have found also is that many leaders are finding themselves on the short end of the performance management spectrum because they are now being viewed as being ineffective in the workplace because they don't know how to manage the people that are under their charge. All right, so we have had leaders come to us who had threats of job loss, threats of demotion, threats of going on performance improvement plans because they were struggling to deal with the people who they had reporting into them. On the organizational side, what we have seen is significant financial loss. There is a huge dollars and cents loss in terms of dollars and cents to an organization when they lose talent, when industrial relations matters blow up bigger than they need to be, when people are struggling and people take an inordinate amount of sick leave or a huge absenteeism, staff turnover. These things cost an organizations, and a lot of people don't realize how much they cost. The statistics show that, and I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again, for each excellent talent that you lose in the non-management category of staff, it costs an organization up to 50%, 50% of that staff's annual salary. So if you are paying that person $5,000 a month, you would lose as much as $30,000 hitting your bottom line simply because we didn't get these necessary skills. All right. If it is you lose an excellent talent in the management and higher category, it can cost the company as much as 150% of their annual salary. All right. And we know managers are paid more. So let's just say you pay a manager $20,000. All right, $20,000. You are going to pay as much as $360,000 hitting your bottom line unnecessarily. And these strategies do not cost money to institute. All right, so it's a very profitable response to the issues that you are seeing in your workplace. You're going to save on the financial loss, and it doesn't cost you very much to put them in place. All right, so if you want to be an effective leader, you must master this. You must know how to effortlessly get people on board with your vision, with your ethos. It is critical. All right. And one of the keys, right, and I love to teach my clients this, is to get people to espouse your vision as their very own. And it's not something that is selfish or manipulative, because any vision that you put down for your people should always include their benefit. If it doesn't include their benefit, why would anybody want to sign on? All right, so there's some mechanics in getting people to be on board with your vision, but a big part of that is understanding which generation they came from. All right, understanding which generation they came from. So tomorrow, I want to encourage you to register to be part of the Zoom session we're having tomorrow. I decided to have that Zoom session. It's not going to be live, it's only going to be via the Zoom room, where you are going to see me build a strategy live to solve a lot of the problems that people experience in the workplace, but from a leader's perspective. All right. If it is you cannot, you see, attracting exceptional talent is one thing. There's a strategy for that. All right. And again, deeply rooted in a lot of research and science. It's a way to get the best talent. But also to keep them is an entirely different feat. All right. And consistent and genuine motivation is key to keeping the best talent. And as I said yesterday, companies who cannot successfully keep the best talent is doomed to fail. And at best, to be mediocre. At best, to be mediocre. All right. So you want to learn. And I want to say this, as a executive, a manager, somebody that is in leadership, your marketability, your ability to negotiate and attract high levels of income is tied to your ability to create results. While some people think it's only relationships, some people think they have to brown nose, or they may have to, do something, sleep their way to the top. All of that is absolutely unnecessary. And it's not true. So if you think that is some that is what you have to do, you don't. And I've seen too many persons avoid really allowing their full potential to be seen and to be shown and to be experienced, simply because they think they would have to give a part of themselves. It would have to go against who they are as a person in order to do it. That is not true. What you want to do is to bring home results. And one of the ways to bring home results is to get people on board. All right, get your people on board. You must become a master at motivating people. There is a saying, with the right bait, you cannot catch almost any animal. All right, you have to understand what people want, and you have to be willing to provide it. It is never what you alone want. It's not, and it's not fair. All right, you cannot pay for somebody's brilliance. You cannot pay for somebody's innovation. You think you can, but you can't. All right. In order to be successful, you need people mentally and emotionally invested in what you are doing. And to do that, you must meet them where they are. It can't just be all about you. All right. I hope you're following me as a leader. All right. I know leadership has a particular spin, and we have a particular way that we were groomed to lead, seeing leaders who went before us. But I can tell you, it is not working. It is not working. That is why there is voter apathy among the younger generation. That is why some managers now struggle to connect with the younger workforce, because the things that we used to do no longer fly. And they have no problem walking off the job if it doesn't meet their needs. Okay? So now we're going to jump in. Grab a pen and paper, and I'm going to go through each one of the generations. And I'm going to share with you exactly how to get them moving, exactly how to get them engaged. And you can take this now and translate it into your workspace, into your organization, into wherever you function. All right. And again, remember, you can use it in the home as well. I am not going to go back through the characteristics of the various generations. So if you have not seen my day one video, which goes through that in detail, I want to invite you to take a look at the day one video. It is on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So you're going to hear me referring to generations. I am going to say what their ages are, but other than that, I'm not necessarily going to go into their characteristics. I'm just going to jump in to how to motivate them. All right? So you have your pen and paper ready. All right. So if it is you are enjoying so far, just give us a thumbs up, a heart. Let us know that the content is useful to you. That's very, very big for us. So let's start off with how to motivate the younger generation in the workplace right now, the Gen Zs. All right, the Generation Z. My son is from this generation. They're from ages 11 to 26 years old. The oldest in the workplace would be 26, and depending on which country you're from, 16 years old, going to be the youngest. And we're going to have some more, a couple of years again with them coming into the workplace, perhaps 5 to 7 years again. In the future, you're going to have this age group coming in. I want to point out, just dropping little gems. If it is you are in the Gen X generation, which I'll get to, while I will be talking about how to motivate the Gen X, I want to say if you are a Gen X, all right, and you are the Gen Xers, they're from age 43 to about 58. If you're a Gen X and you're a leader or you intend to be a leader in the next 10 to 20 years, you are also going to have to eventually learn about the Alpha generation, Generation Alpha. All right, they are being born right now. The oldest is 10. They are going to be the newest kids on the block in the workforce. So it's something that you always have to keep your eye on. If it is you want to be effective, you cannot just stay with what worked. You have to migrate to know what is working. And then you have to look at what will work in the future. And that is what is going to really cause you to rise to the top as the cream when it comes to leadership. Okay? So we're talking about the Gen Zs. So one of the things with this generation is that they struggle to be viewed as an equal contributing member of the team because they do not want to be underestimated because of their age or because they have little experience. Many times, what they experience, I'm telling you from their viewpoint, they feel like if they're being viewed as just children. And the truth is, many of them may remind you of their children, depending on which age group you are from, particularly Gen X and baby boomers. You're going to see them and look and remember your children at home. And it's a huge turn off for them. And you're going to start losing them. You have to remember that they are adults and they want to feel like an equal contributing member. And they will be looking for ways to show their value, to show that they can stand head and shoulders with their peers who might have more experience on them. So you want to provide those opportunities for them to add their value, to show that they are able to contribute just as any other member. Do not underestimate them, do not disregard them, or dismiss them because of their age. I'll give you a little example. When I was the CFO, as I told you, I was 25 at that time. And man, if anybody followed me for a while, you probably saw my baby pic. Look at it, but now it looks like a baby pic. But it was my first executive photo shoot. And when I looked at that picture, I was like, oh my God, look at this baby face. But I was a beast. All right. I knew my stuff. And that is why I was the CFO. I was a beast. All right. I put in the work and I was groomed by Gen Xers who believe in hard work and grit. So there's that element in me and baby boomers. And I remember going to this meeting, and this meeting, we were raising finance. At that time, that project, I think it was about 500 million we needed to raise. And I had to do the presentation to be able to woo the financiers, all right, to agree to finance the project. And the thing is, the size of the project at the time was too large for any one bank to underwrite that amount. And so they had to be shared among a number of banks. And so there were quite a number of banks in the room and their executives, bank CEOs, as well as heads of the risk management unit, because it was a large sum. And so when it is the chairman made his presentation, my chairman made his presentation on the project, he then invited me to give the details of the project and what we were willing to offer and how we saw it working out and how we thought the bank would have won and we would have won, the profitability. And I had a killer presentation. I was ready. I was revved up to go. And one of the bank CEOs said to me when my chairman announced me, "Who, this little girl? Listen to me." I was in that moment, it was all about 3 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime as I was trying to determine how to respond to this man. Like, how could you look at me in the midst of all of these executives? I am here as an executive of my own company, and you're referring to me as a little girl. These are the mistakes that we make with the Gen Zs. We underestimate them. And so I was wondering if it's to respond. I mean, so many thoughts ran through my mind. But what I decided to do was to respond in excellence. And I always tell my people that the only best way to respond to discrimination, age discrimination, or any other kind of discrimination, is to respond with your excellent self. And I made one excellent presentation. Jaws dropped. And that CEO came to me on the break and he came and he apologized for what he said. And I said, no, you need to say it in front of the entire room after you try to embarrass me in front of the entire room. But the point is, we can underestimate people just because of their age. You don't want to do that with the Gen Z. You will lose them very, very quickly. This generation also very strongly believes that respect is earned. Respect is earned. And so if they feel disrespected or disregarded by their leaders, they will not offer respect in return. They just will not. All right. So you have to be very, very careful. Now imagine how this collides with the beliefs of the silent generation or the baby boomers who see respect as a non-negotiable. All right. So if it is you're in a family-run business with silent generation or a political organization or religious organization, take note. You cannot just stand firm and say, these people are disrespectful. You have to be so careful. The Gen Zs believe that respect is earned, and it is. It is earned. But before, what would happen is people will be disrespected and disaccepted. And while I'm not saying their way is right, I want you to understand what their way is so you can work with it. You don't want to stand firm on your position and then it costs your business, it costs you the future of your organization, or it costs you your legacy. Offer respect to them and they would respect you because they would admire you for what you have accomplished and the fact that you can see them as a real contributing member. Very, very big to them. All right? The other thing we have to be careful about is that the baby boomers may have children who are Gen Zs. And so when it is you have challenges with them in the workplace, you can actually be triggered because it may take you back to the experiences you would have been having with your own children. And we have to be careful that these things don't ooze out of us and create issues that we are not aware of. Because this Gen Z, what the research is showing is that this generation, more than many other generations, struggle with mental illness. All right? That's important to note because they have grown up, they have had to become grown early, if that makes sense, because of the overexposure of information that was really ahead of their developmental stage and largely due to the internet and the hyperconnectivity of the world. So you have to be careful how you treat with this age group. Not that you have to treat them with kid gloves and cuddle them, but they want to be respected. Respect them. All right? Let them know they have to earn your respect as well. But be very, very careful because they have no problem responding with disrespect if they feel they have been disrespected, or they have no problem exiting the environment if they feel they have been disrespected. All right? You want to genuinely see them as an equal contributing member of the team. That doesn't cost you anything to do. It doesn't cost you anything to do. It just requires a shift in the mindset. All right? Shift in the mindset. I will say this. All right. And I don't want to overtalk because I'm always accused of overtalking. I want to say this. When child rights were launched, at least in Trinidad and Tobago, and I know in other Caribbean islands, because in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, some of these other spaces, and some countries in Latin America, it was launched quite a while, all right, a while ago. What what happened was when that was launched, we had a number of adults feeling because now we were talking about children's rights, I don't have any more rights, which is not the case. Children always had rights. Hey Dale, nice to have you on. Children always had rights. Adults always had rights. But what happened is certain generations believed that children had no rights. And so now they had to be reinforced. Children have rights. Imagine you have to tell adults a child has a right to a name. That should be a given, right? A child has a right to be loved. That's a given, right? A child has a right to be heard. You would think that's a given because it involves the child. And while the child may not always know what's best for them, it helps to include them in your decision making so they can learn, so they can be better decision makers in the future. And so you have to be careful because now they struggle to see these children as adults. You have to be very, very careful. You would lose them. All right. So if that is particularly your issue, you want to be very, very careful. What you believe will ooze out of you. All right. Here's what you can do. Because this age group has a natural savviness with technology, and they will always be looking for ways to make things easier and faster with the use of technology, put them in charge of those kinds of projects. Put them to co-lead committees that treat with technological change or efficiency improvements. You want to do that because it goes a long way. All right? They feel like, yes, I can do this. This is in my wheelhouse. This is in my wheelhouse. And I can do this. All right. And the thing is, this is something that the older generations are not very strong at. So that's a way to give them the opportunity to show their equal value and the fact that they bring it to the team. All right. So you want to use technology and efficiency projects and put them in charge or second in command. They can lead. They can lead. Nothing prevents them from leading. Many of them have been leading in sports, leading their sports team, leading teams in school. They can lead. They can do it. Just advise them, mentor them, give them advice, but give them the opportunity. They can do it. Treat them as an equal. That is all they want. Treat them as an equal. This doesn't cost the company anything. All right? Lastly, what I would drop in here, and I know this is a big one for some companies, but be careful of your policies that curb the ability to earn extra income outside of working hours. Remember, I told you yesterday that this generation is known as the side hustle generation, right? And so once it's not harmful to your organization, then allow it and even encourage it. All right. But you see, because some leaders, remember I said the Gen Zs and the baby boomers are hugely loyal or organized generations. They are loyalists by nature. So for them, they see team members or staff working on other jobs outside of working hours as disloyalty. It is not. It is not disloyalty. In fact, if you support them in what they do, they will be even more supportive of your organization and what they do. They don't want to threaten your organization. They don't want to threaten you. In fact, they want to see you succeed. They want to see the organization succeed. But they have all of this time after work. They are willing to do something else. Let them do it. Once it is not harmful to your organization, don't clamp it. Let's just say they make gourmet cakes on their weekends and they're having a cake show. Allow it to be advertised in the organization. In fact, you and a contingent of the team should go down and support them. You wouldn't believe how much this means to a Gen Z and how much they will fight on your behalf and how much loyalty we will build in them. They're not coming to make cakes on your time. They're not. All right. So there is no real risk So we have to be careful that we put off our own issues on the team. All right, let me know if that making sense. Let me know if that making sense. I want to jump onto the Gen Y now. So I hope you're taking copious notes. All right, so you can literally put this into your organization. All right, and into your team. Lovely, lovely. I get some emojis. Nice. All right. So let's discuss the Gen Y, the millennials, all right, age 27 to 42. This generation makes up the largest portion of the workforce right now. So you need to take note. So if a company only has few resources, and when I'm building strategies, all of this I look at. If it is a company has little resources, because sometimes you don't have all the resources in the world to do something, you want to focus on institutionalizing the motivators for this generation because you will connect with the majority of your workforce. All right. And then you can expand to include other motivators from other generations. All right. But the motivators that work for Gen Ys also work pretty decently to Gen Zs as well. All right. So for this generation, the Gen Y, growth is the biggest thing for them, the biggest motivator. Personal growth and professional growth. They crave growth and they connect themselves to people and leaders who they believe can help them grow. All right, as I said yesterday, this generation saw the minimum requirements for professional jobs change right before their eyes, from A levels or high school diploma to bachelor's degree to a master's degree now. Jobs that required A levels before now requires a master's degree as a minimum requirement. They added that. This is the generation that lived through that. So they are always studying. So it's second nature to them to always be growing. They love trainings and all of these different things. In fact, one study said, and I hope I'm not going too fast, I just want to make sure that I give you everything, all right, as much as I can during this time. One study said that this generation, the Gen Ys, remember, age 27 to 42, will even take a pay cut and go to another organization if they believe they will access more growth opportunities across there. So just throwing money at them do not work. Having a pleasant work environment is nice, or chummy relationships, they are nice, but that will not get the Gen Ys fired up. They will appreciate it, but it will not satisfy them. As a leader, you have to find ways to build growth into their work life. Now, growth is really supposed to be a non-negotiable for you as a leader, all right? It is one of the foundational pillars of effective leadership. When I teach on the Just Lead principles, one of the principles in there, the 8 principles of effective leadership, learning, which is the growth factor, is one of the foundational principles, one of the foundational pillars. And so it really should be non-negotiable, but it's particularly necessary for this generation. Because if they do not feel like they are growing, I bet you now, they are looking for other jobs. If they feel that they have maxed out where they can grow, if they feel that there's no more upward mobility, if they feel that there's no way to expand their knowledge or their capacity or their skill sets, they are looking for other jobs. They're looking for other jobs. So here are some ways that you can offer them the satisfying growth. One, if they directly report to you, pull back the curtains and explain a lot of what you do and the why behind what you do, and advise them, share it with them. Listen to me. You see, hogging information, that is one of the surest ways as a leader to be ineffective. You should not be hiding information. And if you feel you cannot trust your team, then you need to treat with that issue. It's either your team is the issue or you are the issue. All right? But trust is critical. Share with them the information. One of your roles as a leader is to create more leaders. A hallmark of an effective leader is strong decision making. You should teach them how to make strong decisions, and understanding the why behind it. It's a gold mine for them. They'll be so thankful. Also, you can find out what their career goals are and give them advice on how to best achieve those goals, and periodically check up on them. These things don't cost any money, but they appreciate it. You can also, number 3, you can use rotation where possible. All right. So sometimes the growth doesn't even have to be upward growth, but just even lateral growth, learning how to do something new. Never think, listen, she's excellent doing thing A, so I cannot afford to move her from there. If you do that, you're sure to lose them. Because once they believe they have mastered something, Boredom sets in. Once boredom sets in, disengagement sets in. When disengagement sets in, you lose them. All right. So once they have mastered something, give them add a different dimension, open up a different aspect to them, or give them something else new to master. All right. Consider assigning them ad hoc projects or standalone projects. You can even coach them on opportunities for growth outside of their comfort zone. So they may like this particular space, but there may be opportunities that you see something in them that they may not even see in themselves. Bring it up with them. Say, listen, I see this in you. Why don't you try expanding here or exploring this different space? Let me tell you, they will be so thankful and they will want to stay close to you because they grow. All right. If they do not directly report to you, but you may be the head of the organization, CEO, managing director, MD, I'm sorry, or GM, and you know that there are key team members who fall into this generation, the Gen Y generation, make sure that you connect with their direct leader and find out what that person is doing to make sure his or her people are motivated. It's very, very critical because the research shows that people do not leave organizations, people leave people. People leave people. And this was confirmed by a study that said 75% of the people who left an organization, they left as a result of the person they directly reported to. Okay? So that even though you may not have a Gen Y directly reporting to you, but you are responsible for the organization, you need to know what your managers are doing. I have seen time and time again where CEOs may be fantastic in handling people or motivating people, but they may be poor in treating with difficult issues. That is where they may fall down. So they may avoid it. And then these other managers are left to run wild and cause them to lose key people. All right. So you want to ensure that your excellent way of dealing with people and motivating people is passed down and it's experienced by all. All right. Just a side note, if there are different levels in the organization, you want to pay attention to that as the CEO. All right. Now, CEO mastery is a whole different aspect, all right? It's a whole different program and principles, but I just dropped this in here, all right? You need to pay attention to that. If you're a CEO, head of organization, and you have managers under you. All right, so let's talk about the Gen X. All right, Gen X, Generation X, they're from age 43 to 58. And this particularly comes in when they may be older than you are. So you may be a Gen Z or a Gen Y, and a Gen X may be in your department, or you may be a baby boomer and you have to lead a Gen X. This generation is a very loyal generation. All right, very, very loyal. So they expect loyalty back. And that is why some of them struggle to allow their team members to have side hustles. They see it as disloyalty. But I just want to delink it. All right. What they do outside of their working hours is their time. All right. You don't pay somebody to own their life. All right. Don't look at it. Don't ever look at it like that. It's the wrong way to look at it and will always lead to a bad outcome. All right. And not only do they expect loyalty back from their teams, but they expect loyalty back from their organizations. All right. So this generation grew up with the mass messaging of secure your family, buy a home, buy a car, focus on stability. Remember, they were raised by parents who went through World War II. And after the war, stability was the name of the game. So job security and stability of tenure is of critical importance for this generation. They go where permanence is offered. All right. They go where permanence is offered. And so offering them contract employment is just not attractive. Okay, it's not attractive to Gen X. And so I hear companies, even the government, the different governments, they move to contract employment. This is a turn off for your Gen Xers. All right. And you want to understand what problem you're trying to solve. Whenever persons come to me, what's one of the first things I ask? What problem are you trying to solve? Because we may do something, but it may not actually solve the real problem. We need to understand really intimately what the problem truly is so we can put in an effective strategy to solve that problem. We do things like, for example, You may have persons who may be difficult to manage, or their performance may be challenging to manage, or you may find people having longevity of tenure who are not performing and they are being promoted. It happens a lot in public sector. All right, you just have to stay long enough, right? Like a piece of furniture, and you get promoted. It's not based on meritocracy. And so to solve that, they may have put in contract employment, but that doesn't solve the real issue. The real issue is poor performance management. So instead, improve your performance management. Empower the leaders to not just give average performance metrics when really the person failed. Teach your leaders how to manage persons who are manage performance, even those who are underperforming, how to effectively manage that, not just put in contract, because that now creating a new issue for you and you didn't even solve the real problem. All right? Month-to-month contract employment is an abomination as far as the Gen Xers are concerned. It's an abomination. So putting Gen Xers on month-to-month contract employment, you're sure to lose them. From the time they get any opportunity for permanence, even if it's paying them less, they will go. All right? They do not prefer opportunities that threaten their stability. So they may shy away. Somebody may see it as an excellent opportunity, but they will be looking to see if this will threaten my stability. All right? They will walk away. All right? Stability and security are far more important to them than growth. Growth attracts Gen Y. Gen Z, stability attracts them and security. Okay? They have mortgages, they have children in university. All right? And the older of this generation is going to retire in the next 10 years. So they're not trying to mess up their money and create any issues. All right? Now, this generation can be further split into two. Now, I see my time going. All right, but we're going to wrap up soon. All right, we're going to get it in. We're going to get it in. Now, this generation can be split into two. One will be those who would have climbed the corporate ladder. And the majority of organizational leaders are from this generation. Many of our CEOs and C-suite are Gen Xers. Gen Xers, all right? But there's a second category. There are those who remained junior staff or in entry-level positions. And it's important to know that when they see opportunities for change, they can appear to be resistant. And the thing is, it's not necessary that they are resistant to the change, but they're resistant to the risk that they may not be able to master this new task or method, which can then lead to the destabilization of their jobs. And the next thing they end up fired. And then the issues. So as far as they're concerned, let's just leave things the way they are. They're not resistant to change. They're resistant to the risk of destabilization. So in order to get this group to move and to embrace whatever change you may need them to embrace, you as the leader or the decision maker need to offer a lot of assurance and support during the transition. All right? And it cannot just be anybody offering the assurance or support, or you deferring it to any and anybody. It must be a very clear commitment that this will not create job loss, but it is simply a migration to whatever it is you may be dealing with. All right? You have my firm support through this process. All right? And the thing is, when they do draw on your support or they request your protection, when they feel like their jobs are threatened, you need to provide it. All right? When they do take steps, and it can appear to be baby steps, all right, but to them, they were gigantic steps because of the mental anguish they had to go through to even actually do it, you must celebrate and affirm them. This is an entire strategy for a particular subgroup of the Gen Xers. All right. And it comes with, even script prompts and all these different things, because you have to work with what is happening in their heads and what they are trying to achieve. All right. And if you do it right, this very group can end up your champions. All right. And can end up even being promoted in their latter years because they're so now liberated to move, because they are not resistant to change. They're resistant to the risk of losing their security. So once you can show them and prove to them and be committed to keeping their security intact, they will come on board, and you have the benefit of their institutional memory, which cannot be bought, cannot be taught either. All right, so you want to be careful how you handle this generation. Do not look down on those who remain at junior levels or entry level. There is a reason why. People have histories, people have trauma, people have a lot of issues. All right. So even though you may have gone through the ranks, so you may be telling yourself as a Gen Z, look, I'm 25. This lady could be as old as my mother and she's still an ex. Don't do that. That is disrespectful and it look down on somebody. You don't know that person's story. You don't know what they had to go through. You don't know their life. So just as you wouldn't want anybody, if you're a Gen Z looking down on you because of your age, you don't look down on anybody because of their age and where they may be either. It creates dissonance. Don't do it. All right. You want to provide them with the support and encouragement and affirmation they need to get to that next level. All right. Good. So the last group we're going to talk about is the baby boomers. They are from age 59 to 77. Uh, Let me just say, I will talk about the silent generation a little bit, but we're going to talk about motivating the baby boomers. Now, in most organizations, if you have to work with this age group, they will most likely be in pre-retirement stage because this is 59 to probably 60 or up to 65, depending on what is the retirement age. Now, let me just say, if it is you have to work with this age group in a non-business setting, so like political organizations, religious organizations, NGO, non-profits, there is an overarching layer that has to be added here, all right, in terms of how you influence this group, because leadership in political spaces has its own nuance, just like religious spaces or non-profits. And I don't have time to go through all of it here, but I want you to know that. And that's why I want to encourage you to attend the Zoom session tomorrow because it will be critical to understand and building any strategy while multiple generations or intergenerational issues is a factor. The strategy can be tweaked based on a nuance, right? And I'm going to say a small nuance, but that'll be redundant because a nuance is small. It's because any nuance in the environment or any characteristic of the environment or the organization's history can result in a big change in the leadership strategy, all right? So back to the baby boomers. They are heavy on instructions, they're heavy on loyalty, and they're heavy on getting the job done. They do not appreciate obscurity. They do not like obscure directives. All right, so be clear with them. All right, but depending on where they function, if they are leaders in their own right, right, because leading leaders is a whole other strategy as well, then you want to find that delicate balance between providing clear direction but leaving room for them to lead their people. All right, you don't want to undermine their leadership. All right, because leading leaders again can impact the strategy that we may rule out. And let's just see tomorrow if any of the persons, which I'll talk about a little bit, in ruling out their strategies, they have leaders under them. You're going to see how that will change the strategy a bit. Lack of clarity creates dissonance for baby boomers. Do not take the instructional tone to heart. All right. It may feel or appear as if they may be speaking down to you or giving directives to you as a child. It may not be so. It is just simply because they were raised by the people who went through the war. So very naturally, they grew in a very militant environment. There wasn't much room to weave. They were penalized for asking why. If it is at home and you ask too many quiet questions, you could get licks. They grew up with a lot of licks. If it is in the workplace, you can get chided for that. All right. So you find they come across in a very instructional, matter-of-fact way. And if it is creating an issue for you, then you have a meeting with them, you raise it with them and offer a different way that they can do it. All right, but help them to understand the issues that may be creating. Do not speak down to this generation, even though they may be guilty of doing it. You want to correct them on that and correct them privately, even if they may be junior staff. They will appreciate it because remember, respect is big and respect is linked to dignity. So even if they may be junior staff, you want to keep their dignity intact. So, correct them privately. But once you speak down to this generation, you lose them very, very quickly. All right. And many of them may have the challenge of reporting to someone younger than they are, especially the men. Just throwing that in there. So be mindful of it. Don't rub it in. All right, don't rub it in. Be very much aware of the value they bring and play up on that. You cannot beat experience. Play into the experience. Even if it is you think they may be doing the same thing. Even if you think, why are they not growing? Because the Gen Ys, if there is a Gen Y leader, they will cannot understand why a baby boomer is still in an entry level position. It just doesn't compute for them. Be careful of your tone. Be careful of sounding like that when that thought coming out when it is you're speaking to them. It is hurtful and disrespectful. Again, you do not know their story. Work with people from where they are, respect them from where they are, and work with them based on what they're willing to do. Now, I didn't go into motivating the silent generation. This is 78 to 98 years old because this rarely comes up in the workplace, very hardly. Most of them are leaders. If it is, they are, as I talked about, the three spaces: family-run businesses, political organizations, and religious organizations. You're going to find them. Very rarely you're going to find them as team members to motivate, and that's why I'm not going to go through them. But if at all you have to motivate this generation, it's going to be very close to the baby boomers. All right. One of the things you can do, just to be very, very careful, don't make comments or do things to make them feel as if they're outdated or no longer relevant. This is a big turnoff, big turnoff. And this is if it is you are reporting into them, so they're the leaders, or if at all you may find some of them in your team members, depending on which organization you're in, you don't want to do that. You see, on the surface of each strategy, there is on the surface, there is a strategy. And they may be giving you a strategy. And you may be thinking, that's outdated. Nobody does that anymore. You're like a dinosaur. All right? My son told me one time, I am a dinosaur. Me. Right? So you realize sometimes how a Gen Z or a Gen Y dealing with a silent generation, well, they just a pile of dust somewhere and disintegrated. Because if I could be considered a dinosaur, right? So each strategy is not a strategy in and of itself. The strategy is connected to a core objective. What you may want to do in motivating this generation, and again, because when I deal with influence and I deal with leadership, I also deal with upward leadership. I deal with also influencing those above you. So you may have to deal with those above you, or you may have those in your team. You want to focus on the objective of the strategy that they mentioned. You may want to highlight that objective and give them credit for it, while offering a more modern way to get that objective achieved. So that way they still feel like they're part of the team and respected for their contribution, but you're not necessarily implementing outdated strategies in your workplace. So I hope that makes sense. That's just a little tidbit, all right? But remember, every organization has its own environment, own history, own culture, and so many factors that impact the right leadership strategy to deploy for you to find success, all right? So I said a mouthful and I gave you quite a bit. So what I want to remind you of is that yesterday I announced the behind the scenes Zoom session tomorrow. I am so excited about that. It's not going to be live because I will be going in depth and I'll be really pulling back the curtains and you're going to see me on the spot live build these leadership strategies so you can see what goes into it so you can do it for yourself. All right. It's absolutely free. There's no cost to it. But it's going to be like an ultimate guide to intergenerational leadership. And you're going to see how, besides the different generations, that's one component, there may be other elements in the environment that causes the strategy to change. All right? It's going to be just for an hour. We're going to end off by 1 p.m., but you're going to have the opportunity for seeing me break this down in a lot of details. I'm going to ask my team members if they can just drop the Zoom link in the Zoom registration link in the chats. All right, so you just have to enter your name and email address, and then you're going to get the link, and we're going to be on same 12 p.m. tomorrow. We will be on Zoom. We will not be live via these platforms. And one of the reasons why I'm going to go via Zoom, I do get a lot of questions about it. Even when I do this for clients, it's always a hit. But one of the things is that because I work with very senior executives, their identities, as I said it yesterday, is sometimes tied to their organization brands. And so I don't share their identities. So sometimes even my testimonials, I'm so slow sometimes in putting it out because, especially in small island states, people know people, all right? So I am very, very, very careful about disclosing people's identity and any identifying traits. And so what I'm offering, that's why I'm doing it via Zoom. But what I'm also offering is if it is you want the opportunity for me to develop your leadership strategy. And right now we're dealing with multiple generations, and that's the focus. But we deal with this from any aspect. There's so many other elements in our workplace that comes up. Even treating with unions. How do you treat with unions? I remember having a client and she was scared about dealing with this issue because she knew the person she had to dealt with is huge in the union and she wasn't sure if it would have beaten any issue. I said unions represent employees, and once you treat employees well, unions shouldn't have any issue. And so we put a strategy in place. Sure enough, the person was very happy and encouraged many other people to then take part. Something that she was scared at first to offer. All right. So I am going to offer on the spot laser strategy development. If it is you want me to help you build your own strategy based on your issue, I'm going to ask my team to put that in the chat, just label what it is for person so they don't get confused. It's just a Google form to just drop some information in there for me. We are going to do as many as we can based on what time allows. So if it is we get a whole lot and we do not call you, please know it's not intentional. It's just the time frame. We're going to do on a first come first serve basis. We offer a lot of protection elements, which you're going to see on the Zoom form. We can give you a code name to enter the session. Camera is off, no mention of company name, so you can feel comfortable in sharing the information, so we can get your strategy built. All right. So I said a whole mouthful. So be in our Zoom session tomorrow. Fill out the form, fill out the Google form, and get your strategy built. Sometimes you persons sit there and they are not sure what to do, or you may think you know what to do. I know as a leader, I didn't always know what to do. People think you know what to do because you may have gotten your position based on your prowess in a particular area, a particular technical area. It may not have been because of leadership, but now you have to lead. So you may not have all the answers, and that's fine. Come and get the answers. All right. So I'm going to start to wind down now. We talked a lot today about motivating the different generations in your workplace, and I went through each one. And it works. And it works also for outside of the workplace. All right. So remember, see you for Zoom tomorrow, same 12. See you for, I hope you fill out the form so we can get your strategy built. And again, if it is you are watching this, put hashtag replay. So guys, give me some feedback as the last 2 minutes before we close, or if I took your whole lunch hour. I know leaders doesn't have lunch hours. Listen, I talking about lunch hours. Leaders eat on the go, which is not a good thing either. It's another thing. But give me some feedback, give me some thumbs up, happy faces if it is you feel that way. Right. I really appreciate you being on with me. Right. Okay. Great. Happy for the feedback. Lovely. Yay. Happy to hear that. Put it into use. I harp on that all the time. My clients will tell you, put the thing into use. Implement it. The magic is in the doing. So get it done. Put it to work and see if it wouldn't create results for you. All right. So I'm going to end off the live now, and I will see you inside of Zoom tomorrow. All right. And I hope some of you do fill out the form so we can get to work on your strategy. And again, let me just say this, even if it's not an intergenerational issue you may be having, but another issue that challenges you as a leader, still fill out the form. I'll probably still pull some of those. All right. Bye, guys.